guys, and welcome to another edition of Gifted Monkey TV, all things toy and toy related. I'm your host, Jordan Preston. Now, when we come back, we're going to take a look at a brand new action figure from Sideshow Collectibles that quite possibly can transform your Superman collection into a super classic collection.
Respect the monkey!
Hey guys, in keeping with the promise of the awesomeness, here we are with the Sideshow Collectibles 1/6 scale Superman action figure. Now this is the fifth in the DC line of 1/6 scale figures from Sideshow Collectibles. We started out with the Joker, then we had Harley Quinn, followed by Catwoman. Recently we had Batman, and now we have the Man of Steel himself, Superman. So let's start and kick this thing right into gear by taking a look at this box. Now this box is keeping with how Sideshow has been doing their basic DC line. It's very simplistic yet classy and very nice. On the front you see a nice big emblem, an embossed emblem of the classic Superman logo. Right there, very nice with the word Superman, also embossed in white. Then as we scroll down you see 6 scale figure, and on the corner it says Sideshow Exclusive. And as we go through our review today, I'll show you what that exclusive entails. If we turn to the side, we see a nice, again, embossed yellow and blue Superman in big letters. They're using all the classic symbols and colors of Superman from the comic books in the past that we come to know. There we go, and on this side, the same thing, an embossed yellow and blue Superman. On the top, it's just black, nothing. And on the bottom, nothing. But on the back, they give you a nice bit of artwork of Superman on here, an artist rendering of Superman with a blown up portion of his eye with the heat vision activated right there showing. And this is very cool. And down here they have all the Sideshow Indicia and Warner Brothers and stuff like that. Now I got to tell you guys in all honesty, when I first got this figure, I've had it a few days now. When I first got it, I was disenchanted with it. Because, you know, I'm very honest with you guys. I tell you guys straight up what's happening with a figure. And no matter what, I tell you how my opinion is. Now, of course, these are my opinions that you will hear based on this figure through the course of this review. Your opinion might differ on what you feel about this figure if you have it or if you're getting it. So let's check out stuff and I'll tell you what I'll do. Let's open this puppy up and see what we got. And I'll go over the whole deal with you. As we remove the shoebox cover of the Superman action figure, we see that there's an even larger, fuller view of that artwork that was on the basic outside cover of Superman. This is a more view of an artist rendering of Superman. Here we get a better shot of those heat vision eyes, either getting ready to be used or just completed being used. But it's very nice artist rendering of the heat vision. Very reminiscent, again, of the inlay tabs that we've gotten on the Joker, Harley Quinn, Catwoman, and Batman action figures before this one. And on the side, we see some nice traditional red and blue and yellow Superman emblem. Same side, they do the same thing on the top and the same thing on the bottom. A nice, bright, classic blue. So let's pop it open and take a look at what it is. And there we see Superman housed inside in a nice clamshell with his accessories. Speaking of which, let's go on to the next thing and take a look at these accessories. Now this Superman figure didn't come with a lot of accessories, but it came with some pretty nice nifty accessories. It came with 3 heads. It came with the head kind of like a stern look. That's the head that comes on the figure when it's in the box. Nice detailing in the face. Like the little S-curl down here. It comes with this badass look of the heat vision being activated on his face. The eyes are just nice. You get that? That's like a nice effect of that red heat vision coming into the face. You see it on the side view, you see it on the front, and on the other side. It gives you a nice look of that heat vision being activated and kind of like a scowl on his face. And this face paint job, I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera, but it's actually a little flush. He's a little more deeper tone that has a red going through his face. And if you remember the Man of Steel movie, whenever he uses heat vision, around his eyes and the part of his higher cheekbones would turn kind of red and flushed because it kind of actually really went through his whole body to activate that heat vision. So I guess they did that same type of concept there, because this has a deeper flush in the cheeks and around the eye area of red or pink in his skin tone than the other two head sculpts. And then you get a kind of a nice smile, semi-smirk look on this head sculpt. And they kind of went, and it's more evident in this head sculpt while I have it in my hand, they kind of went with if they did anything, they went with kind of a Christopher Reeve flavor. This has a faint Christopher Reeve flavor. Now this Superman is done basically based on no particular Superman. It's supposed to be a generic Superman, leaning more on the comic book side of the fence, if anything. But it's not based on any particular character or property of a Superman that we've seen before. But you can tell, if you look at it, that the artist in his concept did kind of have a Christopher Reeve feel, because that's kind of everybody's favorite Superman, or the Superman in a lot of people's minds. He does have a little bit of a Christopher Reeve flavor in his sculpting. So that's kind of cool, nice little homage there. We got some hands, we got fists, 2 fists. These are the fists that come on him in the package. Nice sculpting on those hands too, nice paint jobs on those hands. Look at that sculpting. Nice. I even like the way they make the skin tones change, like when you actually make a fist, how the skin tone changes in your hand with the deepest part of the clinch in your hands. I like that. They did that. They captured that very well. Comes with 2 flying hands, which of course you'd need on the Superman. They look great. Once again, very good sculpting on the hands. Get 2 of those. You get a kind of relaxed hand. 1 relaxed hand. A right hand is relaxed. You get a thumbs up. Good work, Lois. you get a nice thumbs up hand. And you get a kind of like a take care, see you later. It's all good type hand right there, 2 fingers going up. Very nice. And here is the, remember I talked to you about the Sideshow exclusive label we saw on the box? Here's the exclusive thing you got if you pre-ordered this Superman on Sideshow. You got a hand sculpted attached to a Metallo head, a defeated Metallo. You see here Metallo has 1 eye popped out. Very nice little added feature. And this hand is sculpted into the head. You can't take it off. It's not like snapped in or anything. It is actually sculpted in there. Metallo's mouth actually opens and closes too. That's a nice little feature. And you come with this little neck part that comes with it in the package, and you just snap it right in the bottom of the mechanics. And there you go. With a little wiring hanging down, you have Metallo's head hanging in the hand. And that's a nice little addition. I like some of the additions they put on this Superman. Also, they were very wise. They gave you a Superman with an additional cape with some wiring in it. This cape has a nice flare to it and has wiring around the edges. So you can do anything you want like that. Get it up into any poses and it stays. It's a thin wiring, very thin wiring that you can feel but you don't really see. You don't really see the wiring run through the costume, the cape, but you can feel it very faintly. And it's only on the sides. There's no wiring on the bottom of this cape or through the middle sections of this cape. It's only on both sides that you get that wiring on the cape, which is still good. They should have done this. They should have offered this with the Batman, Sideshow Batman figure. That would have been great too, because they gave you a fantastic cape with that figure. There just could have been a wire version of it too. That would have been really top notch. But this is very nice, and it connects with the 2 snaps on the top, and I'll show you that a little later. And then you get this kind of cool base, this kind of octagon base that they're doing now with all of the DC line of Sideshow. Very simple, but yet nice. It's got that nice S in it. This is a cool base to trade off with your Christopher Reeve Superman, or put this Superman on that Ice Fortress of Solitude base if you're not using it. But this is a nice, smooth, very simple but yet classy Superman base with the S in it, lines grooved through it, and it has like a frosty look that could be in the lab of the Fortress of Solitude or just outside the Fortress of Solitude. It has that ice blue and white type of shading. This has a nice grayish blue shading, the stand. The stand comes out, if I can pull it out. It does come out, guys. Trust me, the stand does come out. There we go. It comes out and goes right back in. It gives you those 2 two styles that they're doing now, which is the crotch grabber and the waist grabber, so you can do a leaping or flying or jumping pose at the same time. These both adjust. You pull it out, take it out, and have it just like that for the waist grabber. Or you can put it back in and have the duo. You can take the waist grabber out, put just the crotch grabber in. And by the way, put the crotch grabber on the higher level if you want to do that. The crotch grabber will go in. You can have just a regular crotch grabbing stand, or just add this up and have both support for your Superman. Nice stand. Base has no Velcro or anything, or stops on the bottom. Just basic plastic screws in it. And there we go. Now let's take a look at the articulation on this figure. Let's take a look at the articulation on this figure as we go to the Superman. Look at him in his nice, way to go, Jim Olsen pose right there. My producer says, stay in school, kids. That's the pose I got him in right now. I'm going to show you all the different head sculpts as we go through this today. But this is kind of with the smiling smirk on it. But let's look at the articulation. Superman's head goes up about that much. You get a nice raise on it. If you pull it up too much, you'll expose underneath. You see how that happens? They'll expose that little gap underneath if you pull it up too much. You get full range of rotation, 360 on the head. You get a nice little rubber piece. The neck is actually rubber. You can feel the inside joint as you press all the way back in his larynx. But his neck is rubber. Usually these 12 inches have a hard neck. But it's actually very, very malleable. It's a rubber. It's actually literally a rubbery feel. You press it in, you can bend it around, and that's that. Superman's shoulders go up about that much on either side. Not restricted by the suit at all, just by the way the deltoid cut is on this figure, on this buck. You get a bicep swivel. You get a forearm bend. Forearm doesn't go back any further than straight back, like that. Won't go any further back. That's as far back as it goes. It'll come up only this far because it gets locked in by the bicep. There's no deep cut on that bicep. That bicep runs straight into the forearm. The anatomy on this figure is a little weird because you think that it would have a little bubble on the forearm, on the bicep, which would give you enough gap to raise this forearm up. But they made the bicep just run straight into where the forearm cut is. So you can't raise it up any higher than that. One of the gripes I have with this figure, and as I go along, I'll tell you the gripes. You also get full wrist rotation. You get a nice wrist swivel. Wrist can go up about this much, go down about that much. Nice Spider-Man shooting web pose right there. You get a little bit of an ab crunch. On these Sideshow Collectibles, more than an ab crunch, they give you a cut right along the rib cage, which allows you to make your figure swivel like that from side to side. You get nice swiveling poses in there. And you can swivel right there at the waist, at the rib cage. But not really an ab crunch. You can bend him back a little like that, which is great for a flying pose. You can arch him like that. He will arch. He won't bend that deep unless you involve his hips. Then he'll be able to bend deep. But from the waist, there's no waist bend at all. His legs go up about this much before they start to turn out. As you see, they start to turn out. But they'll go up about that much straight. They go back about that much before they lock. There's no swivel up here at this portion of the calf. It just bends. There's a double jointed knee bend, so you can get it right back like that, which is pretty good. You get a nice kind of flying pose like that. There is, well, the boot actually rotates. There's not really a calf rotation on the actual figure, see, it's all tight. But the boot itself rotates, like in the Batman figure. So when you rotate the leg around, you can shift the boot to have it be the angle you want to fit the direction in which you're trying to go. So that's kind of cool. I love what they do with the ankles. It has a nice little ankle pivot, about that much. Comes down, go up. But the way they cut that, ooh, look at that, his leg just fell off. Ha ha! More of what I have against this Superman. See that? more of what I have. I'm putting his leg back on. Superman's leg is going back on, ladies and gentlemen. Close your eyes. This might get ugly. See, I like the way they blend that ankle swivel into the actual boot. You can't tell that there's actually a turn part in that boot. Fits very nice. It looks pretty seamless. But as you just saw, you can't turn the boot around too much on the ankle, otherwise the foot has a tendency to fall off. But that's right and left is the same thing. Arm bend, swivel, bicep, forearm, wrist, all the same on the right as on the left. That's how Superman works with that. Now, let's take a look at this cape. The cape has a nice flow to it. The regular cape without the wiring that comes with its standard issue has a nice flow. You see the red, the yellow emblem on the back. I like the way that looks. But look at that flow. This is something that maybe Hot Toys should take a look at, because Sideshow seems to capture a nice pleated cape without doing a double cape where it's double on the inside. You can feel it. There's two pieces of material. They do it nice on one shot, and it's a thick cape as far as it feels light, but you can't see through it. When light hits it, it doesn't shine through it as you can see your hand on the other side. It's got a nice thickness to it, and it drapes beautifully. As you see it like that, it drapes very nice. And when you put it around this way, and you drape him on one side like that, it drapes beautifully in the front. See that? When you put one side back like that. And the reason why I'm showing you this in the articulation portion of this is because when we put on this wire cape, it doesn't drape the same because it has the wire in it. So I'm showing you how this drapes so you can see your options. And if you turn them around to the back, you see how nicely that drapes with it pulled back on one side? I love how Sideshow does the capes. Like I say, I will sing the praises of a figure where it's praised, and if there's something going off for me, I will mention that too, because I want you guys to have the full package before you make a buy. I want you to have an informed idea of this figure. So let's take a look at how the wire cape fits. So the way this cape comes off is the same way it goes on to make the transfer from the regular cape to the wire cape. You just take the snaps off and just untuck it from the top of the uniform, take the snaps off, and then you take the other cape, which you have the wire cape now going on, and you just snap it into place on both sides of his shoulder, like that. Then you just place it into the uniform, and there we are with the cape, wire cape. As you see, you can get that wire cape into virtually any pose you want. That wire cape is really, really cool if you want to have a dynamic action pose. I like it. Look at that. Turn around, get a back view of it. Still has the S and everything. Still basically, it's a little thicker material and a heavier material than the cape that comes standard in the box. The cape that does not have the wire on it. It's a little thicker. A little more matte too. It's not as shiny as the cape that's in the cape that he comes on with. But let's take an overall look at this figure, and I'll tell you some of the things I didn't like about this figure, and some of the good things about this figure. Here's the deal. I'm kind of conflicted, guys. Maybe you guys in the comment section can help me make up my mind. At the end of the day, he's a Superman figure. So all us Superman collectors are going to buy him. There's no question. He'd have to really be really terrible for us not to get him. But that being said, I wasn't floored with this Superman figure when I opened the box a few days ago and took a real in-hand look at him. He had some immediate things that set out to me that I did not like. First thing, he seemed to suffer from, if you guys who collect Superman figures remember back in the day, in the early 2000s, DC Collectibles made their first 13-inch Superman that came with the Clark Kent change-out suit and everything, and it didn't sell that well. There were some inherent problems, and I think this Superman suffered some of those inherent problems in the beginning. One of those problems, in my theory, is that when you have Superman that's generic, in other words, a Superman that's not based on a known Superman like a Christopher Reeve likeness or Henry Cavill likeness or Ed McGuinness likeness or Jim Lee likeness, just I'm going to make a basic the possibility to have an uninteresting face, because at the end of the day, Superman is just a guy in a uniform. He's not like he has a fantastic uniform that has all kind of weaponry attached to it, or special kind of really cool boots and gloves, or a super cool mask that you can do variations of. He's a guy that if you put a generic face on him, it's hard to tell what kind of face to go toward. And I think that's a little bit why they kind of lean toward a Christopher Reeve-ish style face. And he kind of suffered from that when I first saw it. I was like, I don't know what to make of this face. It's kind of grimaced and sunken in, and I'm not too sure if it's a good Superman face or not. But look at this guy. At the end of the day, that majestic pose, that's going to win you over. Look at this guy posing like that. That's Superman. So how can you not like this figure? But, on the other hand, immediately these are the things I did not like on him. I did not like the fact that this belt comes down with all this gap of the red trunks. You can take a 7-year-old and have him look at 5 different variations of Superman in the comics or on TV. And at the end, he would tell you, when you make your final production of Superman, hey, that belt should be right up at the top of those trunks like he is in every rendition of Superman I've seen. Now, you might say, yeah, now if this was an $80 toy you can get in Toys R Us or Target, or a Mattel doll that you can order from Matty Collector for like $125, then I go, okay, you know, it's a basic figure, you're getting what you pay for. When these guys start charging hot toy-ish type prices, like over $200 for a figure, and they know something as iconic as Superman, they need to cross their T's and dot their I's, because the collectors are not laymen on the street. These guys are going to look at these things and go, wait, that's all. And you can't ram that down our throats. We'll take it because, like I said, at the end of the day, it's a Superman figure. We're going to buy it just to have a Superman figure additionally in our collection. But that's shoddy workmanship. Any way you cut it, that's not accurate to any version of Superman that has these the trunks showing over the yellow belt. I don't like that. They could have fixed that in final production. Not a hard thing to fix, especially when you're charging a high price point. You can take the extra, eat it, and make that look very accurate and clean. Did not like that. Also, something with the face. There's something with the face. The jawline seems a little too big for the neck. The neck seems a little narrow, like a pencil neck guy almost, with a big, thick jawline protruding out. I think the neck should have been a little thicker. In fact, I think the whole body should have been a little thicker. This guy looks a little thinner than the Batman figure that came before it. And I don't know about you guys, but when I think of my Superman, he should be like a big, hunking, muscular Superman. Now, he doesn't have to be a bodybuilder-sized Superman, but he should be like an obviously muscled Superman, bordering on the size of a bodybuilder almost, but he should be muscular. They went again with the Christopher Reeve almost type size body sculpt, where he was a nicely built guy, but on the lean side. To me, Superman, the iconic Superman, should have some buff to him that looks like he can press a planet or pick up a freight train. That type of Superman. I wish he would have been a little thicker, and that would have included the neck area too, to go with that. I also don't like this. Look on the back of this guy, the stitching. If you look at that stitching, if my camera guy can get real close to that, that stitching is real shoddy workmanship, especially when it gets to the lower back. This is something that if you move or pose your figure too much, I'm fearful that it might just pop. It might just pop out. Again, something that could have been changed in the workmanship. When you're charging over $200 for a figure, you need to give a figure its due to equal that amount. So I didn't like that too much. Also, the snaps up here look like they're going to fall apart if you switch out your capes a lot. These snaps look like the thread underneath them is going to pull out of the uniform. And so just be careful with that too, guys. Also, on the neck, when I told you earlier, when you raise that head in a flying pose, you look right under it, you see that. You get that big gap. That's almost like a Play Arts Kai mistake that Play Arts Kai does with some of their figures. They're big gaps when you move them. They look nice in static poses. As soon as you pose them, they kind of get those big gaps all over the place, which kind of take away from the aesthetic, the beautiful aesthetic of it. Now, that being said, I love the hair. The hair sculpting is beautiful. I love the paint applications on the tone. I love the sculpting in the hands. I love the boot sculpting. They put shading in these boots, which are really nice all the way down. I also mentioned how I love the ankles, how they sculpt right into the leg part of the boot, where you can't tell there's really articulation until you move it. Then you can see the little gap, but not very much, not enough to bother you. I also like the pleats I like the pleats in the cape. The pleats in the cape are really nice. That gives it a nice view. Look at that. Really nice. I'm going to hold him so he doesn't fall. But I like the way the pleats in the cape fall. And I like the color tone of the uniform. It's nice. I like also, just like on the Batman figure, you can see what muscle he does have protrude through the uniform into the actual body. You can see that on different poses. It shows really good the rib cage, the abdominal muscles, the chest cavity. I like that. And from my experience with these type of spandexy type suits, as the years go by, it gets even more defined and processed. So you'll see even more muscles start to pop the longer you have this figure. I also think they could have put more of a bicep on this guy. This guy has kind of a flat bicep. And like I mentioned, I think the Sideshow's Batman had bigger arms and guns than this Superman does. And that just ain't right, in my humble opinion. Batman should be built great, but no way should Batman be bigger and buffer than Superman, in my opinion. So, there you go. Well, I hope you like our look today at our Sideshow Collectibles 1/6 scale Superman action figure. I had some in and out with this, guys. This really was an on-the-fence figure for me. I loved some aspects of the figure, and I didn't like other aspects of the figure. And I'm a big Superman collector. If you look down at some of my videos, you see I got a lot of Superman stuff. Superman's one of my favorite iconic hero characters, as well as what I love to collect. And so when I see something that's not in place with a character that I'm collecting, I call the people out on it. That's just the way I am. I want to give you guys the best bang for your buck and give you an informed information so you can be an informed consumer when you go out to buy these things. These figures are no longer cheap. They're not like $85 and $120 like they used to be back in the early 2000s and before that. These figures, people are asking for high prices. I saw a Captain Action figure. Remember Captain Action, that action figure from the 60s? Well, they revamped him, and he came out about 5 years ago in Toys R Us for about maybe, I think they were about $19.99 or $22, something like that. Well, they just did a new version last year of a reboot of a lady action figure. She was Captain Action in female form. She looked almost like a Barbie doll. There was nothing extra fantastically sculpted on her face, or the costume was just like a female version of Captain Action. But they wanted $199 for this figure. That basically, a year or two ago in Toys R Us was $19.99 for the man figure, which is even bigger in size. So people are starting to see that these Hot Toys figures are commanding a high fee of $250 plus for their action figures. So they figure, why not? If we have a 1/6 scale figure or a 12-inch figure, why not our company charge at least $200, $225 and up for our figures? Let's get in on this too, because we should have it. But that's not the point. If you look at Hot Toys, 9 times out of 10, Hot Toys is bringing you a movie quality sculpture or a television quality sculpture or subject matter sculpture that is usually dead on, or 99.9% dead on in that wheelhouse of the subject matter. And if not, then they're also bringing you very great costuming, which is dead on in the subject matter in the costuming. But these other companies are bringing you, just like with this Superman, they're bringing you something that's not based on any type of property. So the dead onness of it looking like the property doesn't even come into question. So when they start asking you prices of over $200 for these figures, then they need to at least give you a figure of great quality. And that means the costuming at least should be up to par to the basic subject matter. And when it comes to something as iconic and as easy to follow as Superman, then there's no excuse. You and I could develop a Superman action figure, and our costume would probably be very similar in our designs and our mind. And I bet you none of us would have a Superman with the belt hanging down low like that, especially if we're asking people to pay for our Superman design over $200. Should you get them? I tell you, if you're collecting, you have all things Superman, and you love all things Superman, I'm preaching to the choir, so to speak, because you're going to get him anyway, because he's an additional Superman figure, and he looks pretty good. You know, as he ran over the review, he looks very badass. But if you like just certain things of Superman, or if you really collect only premium quality 1/6 scale figures and statues and such like that, you might want to pass on this and wait till they come out with the Batman v Superman version of them, which is based on Ben Affleck, or some type of other property that does a really great capture sculpture, and you're getting the bang for your buck for paying that amount. Because once I said, I'm not too sure that this figure is worth the price that they're asking, which is $199. If you live in Southern California, with tax and license, when you order it from Sideshow, it's going to come up to about the $240 for that figure. And for that type of price, my friend, you should be getting a figure that's a little better in the quality. I'm never going to steer you wrong. I'm going to shoot straight with you all the time. So there you go. In fact, why don't you do me a favor? Write down below and let me know. Do you like this Superman? Did I say the wrong thing? Did I step on some toes out there? Let me know, because you know I always get back to you. So there you go. Thank you for joining us today as we take a look at this Sideshow figure. And remember to like us on Facebook, to like us on Pinterest, check us out there. We got some things going on. If you like this show today, hit the like button and subscribe. We're working our way. We're the new guys on the block, and we're working our way to 2,000 subscribers. I thank you guys for watching. I thank you guys so much for subscribing and for hitting the like button. It means a lot. Thank you guys, and for your comments too. Also, before we go, let me show you something. I went to a store here in Southern California called Hobby Lobby, and I got this book. Look at this. Isn't this cool, this Batman? This is a nice Batman book, right? But it's not. This is actually an accented piece for your collector room. Look at this. You open it up. Boom. Isn't that great? It's a box. A laminated wood hard box. And this is going to go in my bedroom as my jewelry box, because it's kind of cool. I put my watch and my rings and all my stuff like that. All my accents go into that. This is Hobby Lobby. You can find them on www.hobbylobby.com. And they got some great things for your man cave or your girl domain, whichever you have. And they have some great superhero and Star Wars themed accent pieces that go perfect for your room or your study. This is great. And they're very affordable prices. In fact, every week, their guarantee is every week they'll have new 50% sales. And if you go on their website, www.hobbylobby.com, you'll find some good stuff. I have no vested interest in the company. I just think they sell some really cool stuff. They blew my mind with all the Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, Star Wars, Avengers, Iron Man stuff, and all the other man cave stuff. They had sports cars and all kind of stuff that you can conceive of putting inside your man cave or study at great prices and really cool stuff. And I can't wait to put my jewelry stuff in here and my accents and get this going and kick it in. So thanks, guys. And remember, collecting toys, even a Sideshow collectible 1/6 scale Superman action figure, can be as fun as a barrel of monkeys. But respect the monkey. Play nice. Take care, guys.